All right, so Oyin, I'm here with Oyin, and Oyin is a graphic designer, and she is interested in learning the ropes when it comes to branding and brand identity, brand design, and all that kind of stuff. So she kindly agreed to let me, record the sessions and show how we would normally, I would normally put someone through the branding process. And at any point, Oyin, just ask me any questions you like. This is very natural. Forget that we're recording anything. All right. Yeah. So just a breakdown, just kind of give me a recap of like where you're at now and where you're trying to get to, just that we're up to date.
Okay, so right now I'm currently freelancing. I do mostly like logo designs or like flyer designs, but recently someone has asked me about like brand design, and I used to work at this public relations agency where we dabbled a little bit in it, not much in depth. So I had like some insight of it, starting with like the brand identity, making logo mock-ups, all of that, picking the color palette, but not really going in depth. So I'm here to learn like the ropes of brand design, how to really, help someone through their brand, discovering their identity and all of that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Also, that's good. It's good. It's for me to just a recap for me as well, so that I'm serving you best. And I think in this one we'll talk about the discovery phase and what it would be like if a client first came to you asking you to do brand design. So, what's the process been like for you if someone came up to you, asked you to do the whole brand identity? What does it look like?
So usually they would tell me like, listen, I'm trying to come up with this thing. Could you help me? And I'll be like, sure,
Yeah.
And I know that at my other job, we did do like discovery sessions where we asked. So I try to do that to the best of my knowledge, like ask who's their target, like just things for like, who are you trying to reach? What's your goal with this brand? What do you want to do? Just general questions like that. And then from there, I usually start off with like logo options for them to look at, like typically just black and white before we proceed with like color.
Brilliant.
We choose the specific like font choices, and then we go into color. Then once all of that is like decided, then I now add color to like the options that they want from there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it seems like you're already kind of you're further than you think you are, actually. Like, I think you're like, because I've spoken to other people and they're doing great, but they're not as far as you are on this. So I think it's good to be able to build on what you have now. And what you said about the logo being black and white first is something that I will always teach someone, that I never design in color first. You see what I mean? And also the discovery phase and all that kind of stuff. So you're already quite familiar. So what we're going to do is we're going to supplement your knowledge that's already there now. And we're going to do a bit of a role play. All right. So there's a website I have up here, and it's called, I don't know if you've heard of goodbrief.io.
Yeah.
Okay. So goodbrief.io is, let me see if I can share my screen here. Hopefully it will show up in the recording, because if it doesn't, that would be very, very annoying. Okay, so I'm going to share it here. Right, cool. Can you see that tab? Where it says brand identity food. So we're going to use this as the basis of all the sessions that we're going to cover. So in this, and what it does, if I say, okay, it gives you a certain type of different kind of projects and stuff. And it's great when you're trying to come up with like portfolio ideas, but you don't have a client yet. So I tell everyone to try and use a website like this. There's other websites as well that do the same thing, but this one's a bit more straightforward. So if I said, okay, I want to do packaging, for example.
It's a little small, though.
It's a little small? I'm going to zoom in so you can see that. Is that better?
A little more. Yes.
Yeah, cool. That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, great. So you can see that you got different types of industry stuff. So if I said like, okay, packaging, I want to do packaging. And I want to do, I don't know, entertainment, for example. It's going to generate a brief for me. So now it's saying company name, Purple Voyager, and it gives you a company description, a company that makes and distributes pop music. They stand up because they're high quality stores. Their target audience is married couples who want to convey a sense of mystery while at the same time being calm. And it says creative packaging or whatever. It has the exact brief here, and it gives you like a deadline. I'm gonna ignore the deadline because we don't need that at this point. But we're gonna expand on it a little bit more. So we're looking at branding at the moment. So we're gonna click on brand identity. And is there any particular industry that you're interested in?
Not necessarily.
Necessarily. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what I'm gonna do, I might keep it at random.
Okay.
Right. Here we are. Random. Can you still hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm gonna keep it at random, and we're gonna generate something. Let's see what it comes up with. Let's hope it's a good one. Okay, cool. So it says we offer a variety of tropical destinations. I think it says travel. We're able to include a variety of amenities because of our arrangements with local companies. Our target audience is millennials. We want to convey a sense of mystery while at the same time being realistic. We must create a total branding package that includes creating an appropriate name, consistent visual system, and of course a great logo. I think millennials have become a sense of mystery because of our arrangement with local companies. I'm not too satisfied with that one, to be honest. I'm going to generate a new one.
Okay.
And I'm going to change the industry to something a bit more fun. So I'm going to say a brand identity for a food company. And let's generate something else. Okay, so a food company that... okay, this will be fun. We're a company that makes and distributes African finger food. Our main product is made with attention to detail and shipped directly to your home. Our target audience is married couples. We want to convey a sense of mystery. They always want to convey a sense of mystery. That's fine. While at the same time being agreeable. You must create the total branding package. This includes creating an appropriate brand name, a consistent visual system, and of course a great logo. And let's ignore the deadline. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this so that we have a reference. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do first off is... if you have your Slack open,
Okay.
I'm going to drop that screenshot over to you so you have a reference for it.
All right.
There we go. And here we are. So I'm just going to send that over to you now. Amazing. Cool. All right. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how I would normally deal with a client that comes to me with this kind of brief.
Okay.
So my whole point when I speak to a client is to figure out what their pain points are. And because someone will come up to you and say, I want a logo. I want a full brand identity. But what they're doing this is that they're starting at the end of the process rather than at the beginning. So you, as the expert, you're there to basically ask them the right questions in order to know how to solve their problems.
Yeah.
So if someone came up to me and they said, I might ask you to actually do this role play so that you know, so that you know how I would normally do it. So imagine that you are an African finger food company and you need a brand identity, and we're on this call, right? And you need it from me. Ask whatever question comes to your mind, right? And then I'll respond in the way that I would usually respond. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So the phone is ringing. Okay, I'm sorry. So hello, Oyin, good to speak to you. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I hear you're looking for a brand identity. Can you tell me a bit more about the project that you're looking to do?
Yes. So for my food company, I'm looking for a logo design, some brand assets, just things to, bring out my company so that I can publicize it on social media and just, put the word out.
Okay, great. And so it looks like you want to look more professional,
Yes.
and you want to be more consistent online on social media.
Yes.
All right. And my question to you, let's really back in a bit. What would you say is stopping you from reaching your goals to make you more consistent and to make you look more professional?
Wow. Okay. For me,
Don't worry.
Okay. I would say what's stopping it from looking more consistent and being more professional is not having the needed resources to promote my brand. I feel like I'm lacking in specific areas like in social media and content creation for my brand.
Okay, so you said, and what I would normally do, I'll always write it down. So, I'll just do like, okay, so things that the client would normally say, I'll note it down as things that I'm like, okay, this could be a potential area. So you said like, social media resources. And my question to you would be like, what would having like what would the content do for you? What's the result of the content, having a consistent and professional content? What would that do for your business?
That would expand my reach for my business and get the customers, get more customers to know about my business, especially in the area. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to reach the local customers, basically.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, cool. I think, and obviously the conversation would be a bit longer than that, but as much as with the information you've given me, it looks like a logo is not going to solve all your problems. It looks really nice, yeah, but it's not going to solve all your problems. A logo without any kind of goal attached to it or any kind of vision attached to it, it's just a nice picture. A brand is basically the whole package. It's what people are saying about you when you're not in the room. So you want the locals to be talking about you. If someone comes and, gets some of your finger food, they're like, oh, have you tasted this African finger food? Like, it's amazing. And they'll tell, and you want that word of mouth effect that kind of spreads around. And you want to kind of encourage people to share that on social media as well, for example. Right? So what I think you need for your business, you mentioned that you want to look professional, but you also want the tools you need to appear consistent and professional on social media and to reach local customers. So what I think so normally what I would do is that, so I'm not necessarily, sometimes I give a price off head, but we're not going to talk about price in this section. We're just talking about your processes. But I'll say, okay, based on the information you've given me, it looks like I could take you through a complete branding package, where we talk about not only your logo, but we're actually going to do some brand strategy first in order to fully understand the audience that you're trying to reach. Because if we don't understand the audience you're reaching, then we're not going to, your logo is not going to communicate with them. So you need to know what language they speak, what are their interests, what the characteristics are, as well as what your characteristics are, so you get some synergy there. And then that will help us create a logo that's great, colors that are great, typography, and that will affect your website, will affect your emails, will affect your social media, and whatever digital tools that we can give you, or whatever, let's say, even if it's like, those things, the stamps, a reward system. You could get like a reward card that people can stamp every time. If this is a restaurant, for example, there could be a reward system attached to that, and that's going to need some branding. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through your brand strategy and create a whole brand identity from that. And how does that sound? Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
That sounds great. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take everything you've spoken to me about, and I'm going to write it up in an email for you. You've given me your email when you contacted me. So I'm going to write that up in an email for you, and I'm going to send it over to you with the price, and we can go from there. And if you have any more questions, you know how to reach me.
Thank you.
All right. And scene. So that's just a very rough way of how I would deal with a client. Yeah. Because we're trying to get to what people like to refer to us as just, I tell you what to do and then you give it to me. Yeah. But that's not how a designer works. You see what I mean? We're there we're problem solvers. So the difference between an artist and a designer is that artists are more about expression, whereas designers are more about solving problems. Yeah. So don't listen. The best tool you have as a designer is empathy. So try and put yourself in the shoes of your client or your potential client, and ask questions. Be curious about what the goals that they're trying to reach. And you don't need to have like a script. You don't need to just be yourself. and just be interested, because that will come off in the consultation, and then they'll be more comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And the idea is not to try and win the client.
Yeah.
The idea is to connect with them.
I have a question. So after you
God.
you do that whole consultation, do you still even decide, like, where is when you decide you want to take on a client? Is it before the consultation or is it after the consultation?
So from the consultation, I'll be able to tell if the client is right for me or not, because sometimes they might want something that's not really in my remit. So let's say they are a company that that I try to avoid doing, like on e-commerce websites, for example, because they're a lot more convoluted and they never finish. So I tend not to be the person to do it. Or if they're looking for motion design, you know, I might not be the person that I can help them with that. So that helps me pick apart what kind of client they are. And sometimes it's actually just like a personality thing. Sometimes I can tell from their personality that I'm like, this might not work because you're expecting too much. So you don't want to work with me. Yeah.
So basically, like for you, like how does that process go about? Do they just find you on Instagram and DM you and then you consult, or is it like you have a specific like form that they fill out before the consultation, or how does that work?
I have a form that they fill out.
Okay.
But I know people don't want to do those kind of stuff unless they're really interested. So my main thing is to be like, just to book in a call and just say, oh, you're interested. If they DM me or they email me or they text me, because a lot of it is word of mouth. I would say, okay, let's hop on a call, and I'll book in a date so that the call happens.
Yeah.
So not leaving it all up in the air.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right. And how do you, I'm sorry, I'm asking so many questions.
This is the time to ask questions. Don't worry, it's fine.
How do you go about like denying a client? Like, what does that look like for you?
So when you have to deny a client, when you have to say no to a client, because you don't have to take on every job, right? So you have to know what your deal breakers are for a client. So one of my deal breakers is clients that can't afford my rates.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you can't afford my rates, I have nothing against you, but you're not the type of client that I want. And the thing is that if you do work for clients that lowball you, they'll tell other clients that will continue to lowball you, and you're never going to get high paid clients. Yeah. So one of my things is like, there's a certain threshold that, like, you know, I'm a bit flexible, but one of my deal breakers is price. Like, when I tell them how much something is, and they're kind of shaking and they're not really, you know, responding very positively, I'm like, this client is probably not for me. Another thing is that their expectations, when they're stuck with their expectations, so they're like, I need it yesterday, or I need this as soon as possible, or can you do it for free? Those kind of red flags, then I'll know, like, this isn't for me. And the way I would tell them is like, what I would normally do, because I don't like saying no necessarily, but I'll give them the highest the highest quote possible. I'll say it costs, like, because I need to look, if you're going to be a pain, you might as well pay me lots of money to be a pain. You see what I mean? So I'm more likely to give you the highest price, because I could tell that you're going to be really kind of annoying. So if they take it, I'm like, cool, they might be a bit annoying, but I'm getting paid a lot for it. Even sometimes that's not good enough, I still not take them on. But like, at least if I take them on, it needs to be worth my while. So just know what your red flags are, and from that conversation, you'll be able to tell whether the client is good or not for you. One good website is Clients from Hell. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No, I've never heard of that.
There's a book and there's a website. It's basically all these creatives that submit all their stories about their worst clients anonymously on the website. And it's absolutely hilarious. You can see some great red flags on there. But know what your red flags are and know what your green flags are. Green flags are things that you're like, okay, this client is great for me. Like, for example, I spoke to someone recently and they were like, they didn't flinch at my prices. They said that's actually a good rate. And I'm like, this is, I like to hear this, you know, that's a green flag for me. Or someone that shows excitement for my process, because my process is like, I will always do strategy. And if you don't want to do strategy, I'm not going to work with you. Because, you know, it's going to make my job a lot harder. I'm not an
Yeah.
order taker. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for you, like maybe it's worth writing a list of what your green flags are, what your red flags are, and
Yeah.
so that you can learn from, so that when you have that conversation with them, you can tell whether they're right for you. And if they're
Yeah.
not right for you, say it doesn't look like this is something I could deliver. However, I could look in my network to see if someone can do that for you.
Yeah.
And most likely they're gonna be like, yeah, sure. It's not like an argument. It's not a
Hmm.
debate. It's just not for you. You see what I
Okay.
mean? If that makes sense. I've answered the question in a long tangent, but
No, it's good. It's good. And
yeah,
I know you said we were not gonna like break down like pricing like this call, but I just want to know, how did you go about like getting to your price? Did you like research it first, or you just thought like this is
yeah. It's been quite difficult because I've um I've been a cheap designer before. I've been
yeah.
a high end designer before.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm still working out my sweet spot. But to be completely honest, it's trial and error.
Okay.
When you quote someone, at
Hmm.
least get paid for your time. I think time based pricing is nonsense, but at
Yeah.
least get paid for your time. Work out what your hourly rate is and calculate how long it will take you to do the entire project, and just
Yeah.
multiply it. Multiply those two numbers, and that's the minimum you'll get. It's just basic maths, but also include the hours of research, speaking to the client, like consultations as well. Those are what we call unbilled hours. So those things that we don't, not just the design process, but everything else that's to do with that project,
Yeah.
put that all together, and I would say double the time. So if in my head I'm like, oh, this is going to take 20 hours, I will say 40 hours because things always happen
Yeah.
and it takes longer than you think it will. So at
Yeah.
least cover your neck and be like, this is the minimum I would do. And it can be flexible and
Yeah.
work
Because
it
I
out
was
from there.
struggling between like, because I know some people just have like a set price. Some people charge by the hour. So I didn't know like which one
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like the
It
best
depends
route.
on the person. It depends on the
Yeah.
person. I mean, if you want to be a designer that's kind of high value or you want to charge higher,
Hmm.
I wouldn't do time-based pricing because time-based pricing is unfair to you as a designer.
Yeah.
Because the better you get, the quicker you tend to be.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you shouldn't punish yourself for being efficient. In fact, you
Yeah.
should charge more for being efficient.
Yeah.
So one of the skills I've learned is to charge for the value of the work that I do. Charge for the fact that I am solving their problem. It's just
Yeah.
like I have a car and it's a very kind of niche car. I can't just take it to any mechanic. And I've
Hmm.
tried that. I've tried taking the car to any mechanic and they have no clue what they're doing. And they're just
Yeah.
guessing. So they don't really solve the problem. Until I found a place nearby that they specialize in my type of car. Their rates are higher, but I want my problem solved because I don't want to
Yeah.
come back to the mechanic. It's the
Yeah.
same thing as any kind of creative. If you're a designer, videographer, anything, you have to. If you're going to solve their problem and you're going to solve it really well, and you can communicate how you're going to solve that problem, people will most likely pay for it or
Gotcha.
find some way to pay for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, the right
Thank
clients anyway.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Cool.
Thank you.
So what we're going to do now? We're going to do a bit of a role reversal. All right.
Okay.
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 No pressure. All right. So just be curious about the project. So I'm going to pretend to be the client,
Okay.
and then you're going to be the designer. All right. So I'm going to call you, and then it'll be the same thing. Just kind of repeat what I said. Okay. And just honestly ask any question. Think about it this way: what would I need? What kind of information would I need to do this project properly?
Gotcha.
I think that's what you kind of need to keep in your mind. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
All right. Cool. All right. So here I am. Hello.
Hi, Demi. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. So I
Amazing.
hear you need some design work for your business. How can I
Yes.
be of help to you?
Yeah. So I'm starting a new food business. I'm a massive foodie, and it's I'm a Nigerian, and I love in Nigeria. I have a lot of finger food. We have things like chin chin. we have puff puff. So I think that's a big market there. So I'm
Yeah.
starting an African finger food company,
Hmm.
and it's new. I haven't started anything yet. I don't have a website. I don't have a logo yet. But what I've done is can you still hear me? You still there? Let's give it a second.
Hello.
Okay, you're
Sorry,
back.
it froze. Sorry.
No problem at all. No problem.
Okay.
So, what was that? Yeah, so people keep on seeing my food on Instagram. I make all these little finger food. I've taken them to family parties and stuff like that. People give me really good comments on them. So I want to start a line of African finger food, but I don't have any web presence. I don't have a website. My social media, I don't really know what to do with it. I'm not social media savvy. But what I want is I want to look professional, and I want to, attract, buyers. I want people to buy my stuff. I want them to know that I exist, and I want them to keep coming back and buying it. So that's really it.
Okay. So it looks like you have a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just gonna ask a few questions just to get an idea
Sure.
of your business, your market, your target audience, and what you want to achieve. What's your end goal? So first things first, who are the people, the customers you're trying to appeal to?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kind of people in their 20s, 30s, like people that will go to brunch, people that go to day parties, that kind of young market, because I see myself having like a food truck in like a food market or something like that, or at an event, having a food stand with like these young people at concerts and festivals and all that kind of stuff. So I think that kind of market, if that makes sense.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, I gotta think off
Don't
my
worry.
head.
It's all right. Take your time.
Do you already have a name for this business or a tagline? Or
I think I don't know what the name is, and I'm actually open to different suggestions. For now, I just called Demi's African Tapas. That's all it.
so
That's
as
the
we,
name, but I think it sucks. So I'm open to a new name.
okay, so as we go through this discovery process, I'm sure we will figure out a name based on your vision for your business and
Sounds great.
the goal for your business. I feel like we can formulate a name through that as I ask, these specific questions for your
Yeah, that
business.
sounds great.
Yeah.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Do you have any other questions that you're wondering?
When it comes to like your social media, what is the purpose behind it? Are you just trying to gain new customers or just promote your business online? Or what is the goal of your social media?
I want the social media to, first off, like I want it to make my food look good. I want it to
Okay.
look great. I want people to see the pictures or the videos. I'm interested in people seeing like the process of me making the food,
Okay.
making it fun. I want it to be interactive. I want people to engage with me, to ask me questions like, where are you going to be next? And I want them to see the quality of the food. I don't know how this stuff works. I just make food. Like I'm not social media savvy, but I want it to be easy. You see what I mean?
Gotcha.
I don't want it to be complicated. I just want to
Gotcha.
be able to just post something. My food looks good. And then I carry on cooking.
Yes. All right. Pause real quick. I don't know
Sure.
if this would be like a good question to ask. Like, would I? Because I'm thinking of like other like brand collateral. Maybe like in a restaurant, you need menus done or like business cards. So, would I ask like, would this be mostly like online based or like, I don't know how to go about
Yeah,
that.
exactly. So what you would ask is like, okay, based on the information I've given you, I said, okay, food trucks, food stands, festivals, events. So you can tell that this is not like a restaurant thing. It's more of a mobile business.
Yeah.
So, the question that I would ask if someone gave me that kind of information, I'll start making suggestions. This is at the stage that you can be like, okay, it looks like, you need something. You're gonna need to be able to stand out in festivals, or you're gonna need a way to when you reach new customers at these festivals for them to stay connected with you. So there might be like a menu something they could take away, like like one of those food stamp things that we were talking about, QR codes kind of thing. The food truck needs to look good too. They need to be able to stand out. These kind of questions, you can start talking about the potential deliverables of what the project will look like.
Gotcha.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I gotcha.
Okay. Resume,
yeah.
Awesome. Great. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm gonna just take what you said.
Sure. Do that.
So I understand, based on the information that you have given me, that this is more of like a mobile business. Would you be in need of like menus or like business cards, ways to, expand your reach?
Yeah, actually. I was thinking to have definitely understand. I definitely need a menu. So that people can see the different things that I'm offering. Something that could show maybe allergens, maybe, because some people they might be vegan, they might be allergic to certain ingredients that I might use. So I need a way to show that. I like the idea of like someone be able to scan a QR code or something when they're at my food truck or food stand, or if I'm at an event, they can just scan it and they can sign up to something, or maybe get a discount or something. I'm just riffing. That could be fun.
And do you have any like what's the word? Like, I don't know the exact word, but do you have like references like of what like you see your business looking like? Is there like a company that you've seen that, oh my gosh, like, yes, I want it to look like that? Is that a good question to ask?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Okay.
That's a great question. Benchmarks are always a good place. When you're stumped, ask about benchmarks. Say, okay, is there any company that's doing something similar? It doesn't have to be in the same industry, but something that's kind of caught your eye before, that you like the look of, or or maybe in a similar industry that you can give reference to. And that will kind of help you kind of be like, okay, this is what they're trying to be like. You have a point of reference. So if you ask me that question as that client, I'll be like, oh, okay, here in the UK, there's a couple of companies that are doing it really well. There's a company called Puff Puff Ministry. They like the Krispy Kremes for Puff Puff. And there's another company called Chuku's. They're based in North London, and they do Nigerian tapas, but they have a restaurant. So those are the two off the top of my head, but they're doing quite well.
Great. Got you. I think those are all the questions I have for you today. I will go over everything that we have discussed, and you will receive an email from me shortly, based on everything that we have discussed today.
Awesome. And great. Amazing. And then we just leave it there. So you did really well. You did really, really well. You asked some very good questions. So like, if you go by the feeling, of course, I'm a fake client. It'll probably be a little different. But like, go by the feeling, go by your gut feeling. Like, what should I be asking about this client? Don't overthink it. Gotcha. Again, just try and bring some clarity to the conversation for both people. Your discovery questions, so they differ like per client, right? So they're not all like set in stone. They're not all set in stone. I felt like when I do stuff that's set in stone, it depends on the person. Like, you can have questions that are actually set in stone. You can be like, okay, I want to ask these specific questions. In fact, when you're starting off, I would advise that. I used to have a list of questions that I would always ask, but because I kind of know it off head now, I don't really need to refer to a list. It's just a conversation for me. But when you're starting out, I would say refer to a list of the most common questions that you're going to ask, so that you're not caught unaware. I think you're disconnected just a little bit. Okay, you there? Okay, cool. You're back. Yeah. All right. No problem at all. Just make sure, like, there's no rules to this, but make life the easiest for you. And that's why I said, like, the questionnaire thing doesn't always work for me, because there's no human elements to a questionnaire. When you call someone and you speak to them, then that rapport is there and they have more trust in you. And that way you can be like, okay, it looks like you need this kind of package.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you ever feel like you need more than one discovery session? Or is it always
Generally, no.
Okay.
Generally, no. The discovery session it's my time to know if that project is suitable for me, and if I'm suitable for the other person. So it's like a first date. Like, you just need to find out if you're gonna have the second date. So it's just kind of getting to know them a little bit more. You generally don't need 2 discovery sessions. I think once you have the discovery session, you've broken the ice, and then you can just suggest to them, saying, "Okay, I can do this for you for this amount. How does that look?" And just leave it with them.
So throughout, you're like, when you start with their brand design and everything, you're communicating with them throughout, right?
Yeah.
Do you like show them your progress, or do you just like, how does that go about?
At
Like,
a certain stage.
Okay.
At a certain stage. So the first part, I'll do the brand strategy. So I'm communicating with them all the time. But the second phase, the design phase, I only show them when there's something worth showing them. So I don't show them the sketches. There's no need to show them the sketches. I'll show them the initial ideas. So it'll be like three or 2 ideas, and I'll show them my thought process regarding those ideas.
Yeah.
We're going to get onto that anyway in another session. But I tend to not like give them too much information, because if you give people too much information, then they kind of get a bit confused.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. And it'll give you a headache. You don't want that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
How does that feel?
That feels good. Listen, I wrote down so much. So.
Good stuff. Amazing. I'm so glad you learned that. And because I was like, should I go straight to the ideation part, or should I go straight to the client part? And I think this part is super important, because as much as I want people to learn design skills, I want them to learn skills to deal with clients or co-workers. You know what I mean? This kind of thing will help build a foundation so that you're able to not be a frustrated designer, and to be a designer that's actually like, you know what, I'm confident that I'm great at what I do, and I can charge what I charge.
Yeah, exactly.
You see what I mean? So I think that's enough for the first lesson.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
It is.
So I'm not going to overload you with that kind of information. With so much information. So try and just practice stuff. I'm going to send you some resources as well in the Slack group. It's about speaking to clients. There's some very good role plays online, so I'm going to send you some of those videos, so you can just watch that in your own time. And then try it out and stuff like that. Maybe we'll do another one next time we call.
All right,
we'll see.
No problem.
Great stuff. All right, cool. Let's leave it there. If you like this clip, make sure you hit the bell and subscribe so you see more videos like this. And if you're a Black graphic designer who wants to join a community where you can learn new skills and network with other people, hit the link in the description to join the Black Design Circle, and I'll see you there. Peace.